So, in ships at sea, there are lots of different ways to make money. And in this video, we're going to look at, is it easy making money with a fish farm? And at the top right of the screen, I have 1.1 million because this is quite expensive. You can do this before you get to tier 2 and tier 3 boats. But if we go to the map, we're going to have to find some fish farms. There are some down here south of us. If you're up at the top of the map, there are some around the corner from Vayroy. But what we're going to do is, there are quite a few scattered around, there's some up there. And you've got more down here by Vadoya. But we're going to buy a fish farm right here. And I'm going to buy the one at the back, just because this one is a little bit closer to land. I would like the space to be able to dock properly. Basically, I want to minimize the risk of crashing or anything like that. So if I press E and we spend the 500,000, we confirm it. And you're now going to see that we've got 0% fish, no food. The health and the feed, the net and the feeder health are 100%. But now what we need to do is we need to rig our boat with a smolt tank so that we can actually transport fish up there. So if we go into the shipyard, you can do this on the roster. What we're going to do is switch boats, and we are going to come over here to rigging. Then we are going to purchase for 15,000 a small smolt tank that stores up to 20,000 juvenile fish. And you'll see that goes on the back of the boat, and we could take food at the same time. However, I'm going to use a different boat to transport food up there. I'm going to be using the Fixer. You can do it all with the roster. It's entirely up to you, but the Fixer's got a little bit more it's a bit of a bigger cargo deck. And you'll now see that we've got the smolt tank. So what we're going to do is come into the shop and we can buy fish food. That's all here, which we will need to do at some point. You're going to need the small crane operator skill. But what we're going to do is go into the tab where we buy smolt. So we come in here, we can buy up to 20,000. And you're going to see it's relatively expensive. You're going to be buying salmon. And what we're going to do is fill the tank with 20,000 salmon smolts. So it's going to cost 200 grand. So if we buy that, you're now going to see that our tank is full. So now what we are going to do is jump into our roster, and we are going to take the salmon up to our farm. So what I've done is I've plotted a little route. We are going to get away from the dock. I'm going to press P on my keyboard twice so that we go into nav mode. And we are going to let the autopilot just take us there. So if we go to the map very quickly, from Rost we are travelling all the way down and round to here to our fish farm, which is the one right at the end. So when we arrive at the fish farm and we are docked, if we jump out of the driver's seat, what we are going to do is leave the boat. You are going to see your engine here. You're going to see all of your information on this console. There are bits of netting. These different color ones, every now and then you are going to have to tighten them up just to make sure your net health stays at 100%, so the fish can't escape, so that they basically stay alive in your fish farm. And on top of that, you are going to need to keep an eye on your engine, because if we go to the map quickly, if we hover over the fish farm, you'll see feeder health and net health, and the feeder is basically is run by your engine. So the very first step is getting our salmon off the back of our boat into the fish farm. So if we open up the console, you're going to see a bunch of information here. And you'll see the feeder's okay, the net's okay, the engine is currently off, and there are 20,000 in smolt storage. So we add these fish. Now their daily consumption is going to be 60, which is kilos of food. And under the distribution, we need to try and get this as high as we possibly can, to the point where we can sell the fish and make money. So we are going to have to turn on the engine, and then we are going to need to bring them food so that they can grow and get to 8 kilos so that we can sell them off. You can sell them before 8 kilos, but 8 kilos going to net you the most money. So if we come out of there and we turn on the engine, now everything is up and running, the engine's on, everything's okay. The fish are starting to basically grow, live their life. So now what we need to do is return to Rost in the roster boat. We need to go pick up the Fixer, we need to buy food and bring food down here. And just keep in mind that 60 kilos is their daily consumption for 20,000 fish at this weight. When they start growing and when you have more fish in here, they consume more food. So right now with 20,000 fish, their daily consumption is 60 kilos. If we skip a day and come back, their daily consumption, because they would have grown, could be 115. I'll show you all of that in a moment. Now we are going to grab our fixer and buy some food and get all of that, like, basically transported down here. And on our way to Rost, I just wanted to very quickly show you, it now says the available fish is 20%, so each fish farm can hold 100,000 salmon. Now being back at Rost, we've switched the roster out for the fixer, and it's going to be parked down there. However, we're going to need to get it lined up with one of the cranes, because if we now come to the shop, we are going to head into the tab to buy fish food. And I'm going to start, like, we're going to be buying the 1,000 kilo fish food sacks. I'm going to start by buying 4 of them and see if the fixer can have 4 on there. It should be able to. But on top of the fish food, we are also going to need to buy some tools. If we get a drill for repairing, and then if we go to parts, we are going to need a feeder engine, which is 2.5 grand. And on top of the feeder engine, we're going to grab a rotor for the feeder. And that is going to be everything you need. So it's 4 grand, is barely anything. So we grab all of that stuff. And now we've got the fixer in position. I'm hoping that's good enough. I did bash the boat up a little bit on our way. What we're going to do is switch view. We are going to extend the arm. And we are going to lower it down a little bit. We're going to grab our first bag. Then we're going to bring that over to our boat if I extend it a little bit more. So now we are loaded. I'm not sure if you can get more than 2 on the fixer, but it's so finicky using any form of crane in this game. It's really difficult to load cargo. So I'm just taking 2. I've got 2 more at the dock. So what I'm going to do is drop this stuff off. Then we'll go back. We'll get the second lot. So when I'm done with these trips, we will have 4,000 kilos of food in there. I'm not going to show you all of the travel and everything like that. I will skip forward. So it's going to take me a little while. You guys will see it in like a few seconds or a minute or something like that. So we've just made it back to our fish farm. And this is where the time-consuming part comes in. What we need to do is take these bags, 50 kilos at a time. And we need to grab a bag, leave the boat, climb that ladder, and put the food in the top. So if I grab a bag now, we leave the boat, we come to the engine, climb up the ladder, turn around, and you'll see it says add fish food. So we do that, and that's 50 kilos. We currently have to do 2,000. Then I need to go back and grab the other 2 bags that I bought, and we need to do another 2,000. There's no way to add it all at the same time unless you're using a crane to hold it in place on one of the big, like, tier 3 boats, I think it is, you can do it on. And when you get to the last bag, the big sort of bags are going to disappear, so you're not left with any rubbish or anything like that. And now that lot is done. That was, 40 trips. I've got to go back to Rost, grab the other 2, put them on the boat, bring them here, and offload the other 40. However, if we very quickly take a look at the console, you'll see engine on, net's okay, feeder's okay, and we've got 2,000 kilos of food in there. And after we grab this, it's the very last one that we need to put in. So now if we go to the console, you are going to see the engine's on, the net's okay, the feeder's okay. They're going to consume 60 kilos a day at this current weight with the amount we've got. And we have 4,000 kilos available. So for what we have done, excluding the price of the boats, you could probably do this with the roster, because the roster can take medium cargo. Although you would have to de-rig the smolt tank, and you might only be able to take 1. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not going to include the cost of the boats, but buying the fish farm, getting the getting the roster set up with the rig, so rigging the roster, spending the 200 grand on the 20,000 salmon smolt, and then buying the fish food, a total of $782,000 was spent, or krona, whatever you want to call the currency. We spent 780 grand. And now what we're going to do is we are going to go in here and we're going to rest. We're going to rest for, I don't even need to drive it. We're going to do 12-hour increments just to keep an eye on them and make sure everything is going all right. So I'm going to come in here around 12 hours. And if we jump back out, we have a look. It says they've now consumed their first day. So they're now up to 90 kilos a day. because they are growing a little bit, you'll see that the total weight is 30,000. So if we rest for roughly another 12 hours, we come out and we're going to have a look. Everything is okay. They haven't eaten again. They're still the same weight. So if we jump it up to 24-hour increments, if we go max all the way up to the top, 24 hours, we leave the boat, we have a look, and you'll now see they are in the second category. So we've got 45,000 weight from the 20,000 fish we have, and they're now consuming 135 kilos a day. If we check on the map and we have a look at the farm, you'll see the feeder health is 92%, the net health is 95%. I would just ignore the available food. I'm guessing that means you can probably have 100,000 kilos of food, which would be insane to put into a single fish farm. It takes so long doing it all. But if we jump back onto the fixer and we rest again for another 24 hours, what we're going to do this time round, you don't have to do it right now. You'll see they're in category 3. They're now on 202 kilos per day. I'm going to go round. If we have a look at the map quickly, you'll see the feeder health is 88%, the net health is 92%. So this is where we would go round. We would, if it's going to let us interact with it, I'm guessing we might not be able to do it unless there is a problem. Okay, it's letting us do it around this side. So we tighten the net, and there should be 3 of them. So you've got red there, green's around the other side. You can just see it through there. Then we've got a blue rope over here. So if we tighten the net there, I don't know why the green one didn't let me do it. But if we now hover over this, you'll see the net's gone back to 100%. So make sure that doesn't fall too low. And as long as it says over here in the console, the engine's on and the feeder's okay, as well as the net being okay, you don't need to worry about it. So if we jump back on the boat again and we rest for another 24 hours, then we come out here, we have a look, and they are now in category 5. They're now consuming 304 kilos per day, and our total weight is just over 100,000. So what we're going to do from here is we are going to rest again for another 24 hours. And we'll see if they go up to 6 or 7. We should be able to sell them now, so we can sell them. They are in category 7, like their distribution, so they're 7 kilos. Everything is still running. The engine's okay. The net and the feeders, like the engine's on, net and feeders okay. They're consuming 456 kilos of food a day, and their weight is 151,000. But we want to get this distribution up to 8 so that we get the max from them. So I'm going to rest, and I'm going to do it for 5.8 hours. And I know it's at night time. We're going to just check. We'll see there's still 7. We're going to come back in. We're going to rest again. We're going to go another 5.8. And then if we have a look, they are now up to 8 kilos. They would be consuming 480 kilos of food a day, but they can't get any bigger than that, as far as I'm aware. And I'm pretty sure they can't because the distribution chart would be bigger. And I'm not going to leave it and potentially let them die, potentially waste a load of food if they're still going to consume it. But you will see here, the weight is 8, the sell price is 13.6 million, and we are selling 20,000 fish. Now, we don't need to take these to the fishery like you do when you're longline fishing. We simply just press this button here, and we have sold them. You'll see at the top right, we now have 13.9 million. And what we can do now is turn the engine off. We have no fish in here at the moment. And they consumed, like, from the time I spent with them, they consumed 1,247 kilos. So providing we time it right, we're doing little bits of resting towards the end of their cycle, we could get another 2 loads of 20,000. We won't need to bring any food down here. We'd need to go and just get 2 smolt tanks full, bring those down here, and we could get ourselves, what, 27.2 million extra from not doing too much work. And I mean, yes, our boat got incredibly dirty during this process. So we're going to take it back to the shipyard and get it all cleaned up. So in the end, our total spend was 782,000. We just sold those fish for 13.6 million. And that gives us a total profit of around 12.8 million. I think it's 12,818,000 or something like that. And that is also for a small sort of, I'm going to say, haul with a fish farm. Because yes, you're going to spend a little bit more money to get more salmon smolt and to get more fish food, but you can use this fish farm over and over again. So you don't need to keep spending the 500,000. There are 3 others right next to where I am, and there are more scattered around on the map. So you can like massively expand the fish farm operation, although you'll probably spend most of your real life day just transporting food to and from. And each fish farm can hold 100,000 salmon smolt. So the total amount of money we got for the sale, you can multiply it by 5, which means if you do a full farm, they're obviously going to consume a lot more food, but if you do a full farm, you can sell it for 68 million, which I believe is enough in one max fish farm haul to buy any single boat in the entire game, including the tier 3s. I think the most expensive boat is 60 million, so getting 68 million from a fish farm, you would be able to afford any single boat in the game. So when it comes to the question, is it easy to make money? Like, is making money easy with a fish farm? It is, yes, 100% is very, very easy. The only thing is it's time consuming, and if you're at the start of the game, if you're doing like cargo jobs, a little bit of long line fishing, it can take a while to get it set up. But the costs are going to be around 800 grand if you've got the boats, and I don't think you need the fixer. If you guys have only got the roster, go and check with that one to see if you can put any of the 1,000 kilos, or you can do it in like more trips and just buy the smaller sacks of food and stuff. But providing you've got the boats, it's going to cost you a little under 800 grand to do all of this. Then it's going to take some of your time to get the food over here, the smolt over here, and then you just keep resting in your boat, you let them go through their full cycle, you sell them, and you make massive amounts of money. But it's not going to be quick, but it is very easy. And you can do it from the tier 1 boats. You don't have to be tier 2 or tier 3. And with that information, that is going to do it for the video. I will see you guys in the next one.